Okay.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Where is the milkman here?
Okay, let's wait just a bit to give people space and enough time to join in, and then we'll start.
Get your chair, say to chair, to sit down.
Relax. So is there anybody who is listening now who can write us in the chat if they are not Serbian speaking? So if you are all Serbian speakers, we can just show introduction in Serbian and then we'll continue in English. So if there is somebody who is not speaking Serbian, please tell us that, indicate that in chat. Okay, nobody is answering, so I will switch to Serbian just for a couple of minutes to introduce Econaut and our organization, and then I will give microphone to Zoran to introduce himself and Matica, and then we'll hear from Uwe. Dobar dan svima još jednom. Ja sam Sabina Kerić iz udruženja Econaut koje je danas domaćin ovom događaju. Po drugi put imamo čast da ugostimo Uvea i Zorana i da čujemo malo o njihovim iskustvima sa biodinamičkih farmi i biodinamičkom dizajnu i načinu života. Prvo da mi ispričam malo o Econautu, ako već niste možda pogledali na našem sajtu, mi se bavimo zelenom infrastrukturom u dosta širokom spektru. Econaut je udruženje građana, ali i ekosocijalno preduzeće. Bavimo se kvalitetom zelenih površina i to podrazumeva različite stvari, znači od toga da imamo lepe i sadržajne parkove, pa do toga da imamo produktivnu i zdravu seosku sredinu. Sve to podrazumeva neku dobru vegetaciju, bilo da se radi o poljoprivrednim ili o ukrasnim biljkama. Nešto čemu smo mi postali dosta poznati u poslednjih par godina. Prvo je bila tema kojom smo se isto jako dugo bavili, a to je tema community gardena, odnosno zajedničkih bašti u gradu, kako možemo da poboljšamo kvalitet života u gradu kroz zelene površine, a poslednje 3 godine se dosta bavimo i gradskim pčelarstvom. Napravili smo jednu školu koja se zove Be Connected i moj kolega Miljan će vam pustiti neke linkove na chat da vidite šta trenutno radimo. Dosta se bavimo edukacijom. Ove godine pokrećemo jedan program koji je namenjen ljudima koji žele da upoznaju lekovite biljke. Možda ste čuli za momčila koji je poznat po kanalu Snaga bilja. On će nam se ove godine pridružiti u jednoj zanimljivoj edukaciji koju smo nazvali Biljarnica i momčilo će voditi ljude znači po nekim okolnim šumama Beograda i naučiti ih kako da prepoznaju ove lekovite biljke, ali i kako da ih upotrebljavaju. Ovog puta smo sa Uveom i sa Zoranom napravili ovaj mali događaj koji je prilično neformalan, tako da trajeće jedno 45 minuta Uveovo izlaganje i vi na kraju možete da postavite pitanja i tokom samog ovog predavanja možete da pitate znači, na chatu, da napišete svoje pitanje, pa ćemo onda na kraju to pročitati u uvetu, ili ćete podići ruku putem Zooma i daćemo vam reč ako imate možda nešto dodatno da pitate. Evo sad ću dati mikrofon, odnosno prepustit ću reč Zoranu Petrovu, koji je inicijator ovog događaja. Zoran je poznat kao osnivač i vlasnik mlekare Petrov, ali Zoran je mnogo više od toga. Ja bih voljela da, Zorane, vi to ispričate i da počnemo ovaj zvanični deo ovog događaja.
Zdravo svima. Drago mi je da možemo da se čujemo i da razmenimo neke misle o tome što radimo. Fondacija Matica je prirodan produžetak brojnih dešavanja u Vršcu od 2009. godine, pre svega edukacije iz antropozofske medicine i biodinamičke poljoprivrede. Antropozofska medicina je od prošle godine postala i zvaničan deo zdravstvenog sistema Srbije. Imamo 2 antropozofska lekara, imamo malu antropozofsku ordinaciju u Vršcu i biodinamička poljoprivreda, znači ovo je naša farma kod Vršca. Tu se održavaju radionice 2 puta godišnje iz biodinamičke poljoprivrede, a 1 put godišnje imamo u samom gradu godišnju konferenciju sa raznim temama, recimo bilo je o biodinamičkom vinogradarstvu, bilo je o pčelarstvu, bilo je povrtarstvu i tako dalje. S obzirom da smo i supruga i ja ovde od 2007. godine i dosta toga je urađeno uz pomoć naših prijatelja, hteli smo na neki način da sve ove naše što je urađeno i što bi želeli da se uradi, da pretočimo uz pomoć prijatelja kroz fondaciju Matica, koja je postala i vlasnik samog imanja. I tu bi trebao da bude centar budućih inicijative iz antropozofske medicine, biodinamičke poljoprivrede i Waldorf obrazovanja. Ideja nam je da tu napravimo i malo selo. To bi trebalo već, ako Bog da nada nelje da krene, čekamo građe da stigne. Selo u kojem bi ljudi mogli da žive, u kojem bi mogli da privređuju, da li kroz poljoprivredu, da li kroz otvaranje vrtića ili neku drugu svoju inicijativu koju ima. Znači, ideja je naše fondacije da podrži sve projekte koji su usmereni u pravcu širenja biodinamičke poljoprivrede ili antropozofske medicine ili Waldorf zabavišta. Tako da Uwe Burke je čovek koji je već imao učešća u podizanju i uspostavljanju takvih naselja u Evropi i jednostavno stvari bilo je najjednostavnije da već vidimo kako to negde funkcioniše.
Pozdrav svima, hvala vam što pratite moj kanal almasi.com. Ja sam Almasa i danas vam...
I želja nam je, znači, da vidimo kako je to napravljeno na drugim mestima. Želja nam je da jednom ljudi koji budu živjeli na farmi da možemo da razmenjujemo posete i da razmenjujemo iskustvo. Tako da nadamo se da će ovo uspostaviti jedan model novog načina življenja, novog načina saradnje, novog načina zajedničkog razvijanja u svakom pogledu, od duhovnog do materijalnog i životnog. Želja nam je, znači, da na neki način ovo naše malo selo inspiriše ljude da isto tako nešto pokušaju negde drugde u Srbiji. Jer ta sela su garancija da će ta ideja o zdravoj poljoprivredi, zdravom načinu života opstati u slučaju bilo kakvih nepovoljnih dešavanja. Vidimo sa koronom, kad je bilo zatvaranje i jedan put postaje problem i hrana i kako doći do hrane. Ja ne bih više, ako bude neki pitanje na kraju, eto, slobodno se javite. Mi imamo forum na biodinamika.org, tu imam negdje oko 1500 članova. Možete da imate komunikaciju preko tog foruma sa mnom ili na moj telefon 062 622 721, koji uglavnom ne radi, ali možete da pošaljete poruku na Viber i doći do mene. Ja bih sad prepustio reč da Uwe Burka predstavi tu njegovu ideju, i ne samo njegovu ideju, nego i njegov rad i iskustvo u organizovanju i uspostavljanju ekoloških sela u Evropi. Hvala. Uwe, it's you.
Okay, welcome. I like to tell you, you live in a beautiful country, and we visited today the countryside, the farm, the city also nearby, and I must say, really beautiful. And I would like to invite you parallel to a new world, which we can create together, ideally with you. And that is possible to create a new world if you really want to. And before I start, I would like to ask you some questions. Are you prepared to change? Or will you carry on with your old thoughts? Are you prepared to change your job? Are you prepared to change your money system? Are you prepared to change maybe your friends? And I ask this because we are really in a situation which becomes more and more difficult. That might be that tomorrow our money is collapsing and our money on the bank is worth nothing. That might be that we have no government anymore because some bigger people, they take over. All these kind of things can happen, and more people are afraid. Some are afraid of COVID, some are afraid of a new dictator, some are afraid that they lose their business or their job. So we have a lot of fear around us, but what we need is hope. We need hope that life is more strong than our old system. Life is more strong than our governments, and life is more strong than even our own shortcomings. Are you prepared to go into a new world? And now I like to explain a little bit maybe what I have done before. I'm originally a telephone mechanic, and then I became a biodynamic farmer. And with this background, I built up first in England a village in which now 200 people are living. The base is a farm, and then many workshops, lots of culture, kindergarten, and so on, we established there. I went then over to East Germany after the wall came down to start there a second village. And there live now 150 people, also with a biodynamic farm as a base. And we have also there workshops. And also there, like in England, we included some handicapped people and especially young people which are not finding their way anymore. And we are today in a situation where more and more, especially young people, they don't find the way anymore. And out of this experience, practical experience, I know that that we have just a minute, s'il vous plaît, please. Just to say, out of this practical experience, I know that we are able to build something new up in our world already. And we invited many young people who came through, who made some practica in our place. And that was well, or these two places, they are well known now in England and also in East Germany. They are examples for many people. And something like this we can now create everywhere. Also, what we created parallel, that is a new form of economy. We created a new form of a new social order, and we created also a new culture, one can say. For example, we put every year 3 or 4 plays onto the stage with Shakespeare and Goethe and so on. Yeah. So lots can happen if one does minimum 2 things. One is really to care for the earth, to rebuild our humus, and the other is really to work on our culture, to work on our thinking. But then that is necessary, that is needed, that we create a new thinking, because our old thinking created our problems of today. The thinking of, for example, of buying cheap, the thinking of that I want to work less, the thinking of I want to be rich and all that. That is an egoistic thinking of the past. And if we carry on with this thinking of I only have to be an egoist, like Adam Smith said 200 years ago, we only have to be enough egoistic and everybody will be fine off. We see the result of that, but still our governments and our media tell us every day, you have to think of yourself first and then maybe of the others. You have to be egoistic, you have to be like this with your neighbors and with your competitors, and we know that doesn't work anymore. So we need a new thinking, which means I have to do something for you. I have to ask my neighbor, how are you? And I should be really concerned about our earth, our nature. We should be concerned of each other. And what we need also to get our stimulus from the future. And I mean with that, when we are starting to create a picture, an image of the future, with the question, for example, how shall our grandchildren live? Shall they live in a free school, in a free society? Shall they live close to nature, or shall they suffer? Look, the most people today, they are really afraid. So most people, they don't have meaning anymore in life. And then if you don't have a meaning, you are just working for money, or you are depressed, and that time should be over. We could, if we want to, we could together to build up a new world. And ideally, we look for some places where we find friends which are looking also to do that. And if I'm talking about friends, I don't mean just emotionally that we are together, but what I mean is that we are individually free, that I say to myself, I am responsible. I am responsible. Not the government anymore. I am responsible. And not the church anymore. I am responsible. And not the family anymore. I am responsible. That is a turning point that I start finally, no, I am now responsible for the family. I am responsible for the state, for the organization in which I'm working, and so on. And with this strength of I am responsible, even if all the rest of the friends are going, but I stay on and carry on. And if we have strong people like this, they come together and build a new community that are the pioneers of the future. The pioneers, they have to struggle a lot, I know. Look to all the pioneers in history, from Columbus or other people, they all had to struggle but I tell you out of own experience, this struggle is hard, but that brings joy and much, much more friends, real friends, which are also saying, I take up responsibility. Because with this new communities or new responsibility, we have a chance really to come out. And with that, we can give other people hope, and other people can slowly get up again, can come out of their fear, because they see some light in these people, in these communities. And when I now talk about the community, that doesn't mean really we eat all out of one pot. Everybody should still have his little flat and his place. At the same time, of course, we could have a kitchen together where we meet on the middle of the day with the children. Other people, they have their meals with the children. So that both possibilities are there to do something together, but also to withdraw and to read my own book, to be together with my own family. Both should be possible. But the main thing is to create a new world together. And now I like to tell you out of experience that there are many communities, but they are missing an aim, a common aim. Lots of communities, they come together because they want to save their own life. They are alone outside. They don't find maybe a job anymore, or they are not happy anymore in their field. So they are looking for so-called self-sufficiency. And these communities, generally, they are not working, because that is a kind of group egoism. If we just come together to save our own life, or to have just a bit better life, that isn't enough. We need a higher aim together. For example, that we say, or we create a village where we also offer seminars to show other people how to create a new life. Or we say we take in young people which have difficulties. We take them in. That is also a higher aim which goes beyond our own need. Because if we have that, then we find also ways out of the struggles which will come amongst us. We are very strong individuals, and that is quite clear. We will go also sometimes into trouble. But that doesn't help just to discuss and discuss and discuss about the trouble. And for some people, is that also an ideal to discuss all the trouble which I might have with somebody amongst all the group. But ideally, we come in another way together through a higher aim. And if we struggle together on a higher aim, the personal problems, they become secondary. That is really my strong experience. So the normal problems, personal problems, they become secondary because we have together a higher aim. And that is even sometimes interesting to experience, that especially those which I maybe emotionally felt a little bit distance with, at the end, I find a much better way with them than the people maybe which at the beginning I liked and hugged and we came together. So a community shouldn't be based on emotion, on I like or I don't like. The community should be based on a higher aim. We do something for the society. We do something for some children or for youngsters or for the ecology or whatever. We do something together, and in that sense, we will find each other. And with that, we can also overcome problems which we might not think of yet. Because one thing is quite clear, the community of a new world order will be attacked. The community will be attacked, and by the media maybe, or by other people, and people will say maybe, oh, that is a sect, or that are funny people. But if we are strong together and we do something for society, we will come out of this. It is much better to do something like to work with youngsters parallel than we just withdraw and start to be just there for ourselves. Also then the people will recognize also that is an egoistic community. But if we, on one hand, be different, but on the other hand, we do something positive for society, finally that side that will win. And I'd like to say this really at the beginning, this kind of thought and this kind of doing something that makes all the difference. Otherwise, really, as I said, the communities which are just working for themselves, they don't have a chance. And now let's talk concretely about this place here. And we just have been outside today. There's lots and lots to do. There's a lot of land, but there are hardly any buildings, and the buildings which are there, they are run down. But I tell you that to start at scrap, that is much better than to start somewhere rich, like we in Switzerland. I tell you, we are in Switzerland too rich, and people are not coming together because they are too rich. But if we start at scrap, like at that farm, we can still decide how we build the buildings, which workshops we are creating, and so on. And we can really start with some pioneers. Maybe some of you come and somebody says, oh, I take on the farm or the garden or the bakery, or I take on the mill, or I do run the cafe, or we make a little hostel, or I make the theater, or I go into the office, I do the computer work, or whatever, or I do the kindergarten, or I start a school even. So there are hundreds and hundreds of possibilities, and I'm sure for everyone who really wants to do something, there will be also a place. The main thing is really to go forward and not just for vague. We have enough people which are vague already in this world situation, but what we now need, that are people which are getting up and say, okay, I want to go forward, not to save myself, but I go forward to do something positive. And that is just a side effect that I save also myself, but that is secondary. And that is also secondary that the life becomes even more interesting. No, I do something really for this world. And that becomes also secondary, that I'm not afraid anymore. And that becomes secondary, maybe, that I find also the partner of my life. Because people which are with an aim which is higher, for something higher than for myself, if they come together, that is a much, much bigger bound strength for each other than one is just looking for oneself. And that we have just as a side effect also that we have the best food and that we have the best friends and so on. That is a side effect. We are not doing it for that. We are doing it because this world desperately needs a new direction. A new direction, because if we don't do that, I think we all sense that we have no chance. We don't come out of this terrible situation. And Corona now, that is just one of the many things which comes on top of our environmental destruction, social destruction, economic destruction, and so on. we are really, if you count all the facts on this earth, we have normally no chance whatsoever to come out there. There's no way out if we think we can just go back to the old after Corona. There's no way out. You know this, I'm sure, otherwise you wouldn't be here in this sitting now here. But we have a chance. Some people get up and start to do something new. And also the communities which are there already, for example, which I did there in England, we started just with a small group of people, or in East Germany. Or I tell you, and just another little example, Isabel and I, my wife and I, we started with just a handful of people in Switzerland some months ago, an organization which is called Friends of the Constitution. And because our government made a law like in war, emergency law, and so we were against that because people, we should solve the problems like Corona in another way, not with fear and not with suppression. But we thought, no, we should talk rather about health. How can we keep the people healthy, that they don't get it, and so on. And we started this organization, Friends of the Constitution. And now that is just not even a half a year ago. And now we have 7,000 members. We were collecting 90,000 signatures for the government. We needed 50,000, but we got 90,000. And now in June, the 13th of June, all Switzerland is voting if we get out of this emergency law or not. So through this, everybody is discussing that now. In parallel, we are talking a lot about these lectures and seminars about the new world. And you know that is now a new movement in Switzerland, just of 5 people we started that. But I am saying it to give you a little bit hope also, because very often people say, oh, we don't have a chance, we are just so little, and I'm just alone, or we are just a small group. No, I tell you, if we really want to shift something, we can. And the power of a thought, of a strong thought to do something positive is immense. Really is great. And now, allow me to say something to this time of the year, because we are now in the time of Easter. And beforehand, I must say, I take a distance from all the churches, the organizations of the churches. So I must really say this beforehand, because in my eyes, the churches are almost the biggest enemy of Christianity. So, but I myself, I am a Christian, and I tell you, for me, that is something which where I find also the strength, because for me is that so that we get in the spiritual world, we get the help enormous if we want to. We have to ask for it, and we have to pray or to meditate for it, but we have the chance to get a great help there. And that is quite different to the negative forces. You know, they are in the spiritual world, they are not just the good side, but they are also heavy negative forces which are attacking humanity every moment. And humanity is attacked in the moment heavily on all kinds of levels. On one hand, we are attacked by the forces of materialism, making more money, getting it cheaper, and so on. And on the other hand, we are attacked also by the forces of illusion. If we try really, oh no, I just have to meditate and then the world becomes better. It's not easy like this. The illusion, and I tell you, in the most communities, the biggest attack against the communities, that is illusion. many people live in the illusion, or we have to do only a little bit permaculture and we are saved, or we only have to meditate a little bit and we are saved, or we all have just to love each other and we are saved. Of course we have to love each other, and of course we have to do all the things, but that is not enough. We really have to, and if we love each other, we have also to do something for each other. That means we have to get up out of our comfortable zone. It is not enough to just to awake, but we have to get up. And this attack, which we have every day, everybody knows this, of buying something cheap or going into an illusion. Yeah? That is an attack which we can really only counterforce in that moment when we, if we look into a situation, we have to go look really into the darkness to not to avoid it, but on the other hand, to see beyond that darkness already the new light and our aims, what we can achieve through communities where people come together who wants to do something better for this world. Then we really have a chance. And now on this place here in Serbia, where I hope you will also come, we have really the chance. There's a lot of land here, even more which we could rent or buy even here in this area. And we can build up really the workshops. We can build up a new kind of money. I developed over the last 20 years, I developed a money system, for example, which can be put straight away into action. And if the big money system is folding together, we have already something in place. Because you must also see that the land is the only source where we still have the chance to free ourselves. Because all the raw products like iron, copper, oil, and so on, they are in the hands of the speculation, of the speculators. All the roots of merchants, they are in the hands of speculators. All the big companies, they are in the hand of speculators. And even, just to give you another example with the land, even with the land fund is speculating. In America, for example, is Bill Gates. He is now the biggest landowner in America. And he bought hundreds, thousands of hectares and over the last few months. And what does it mean? The prices of the land in all America went within few months 30% up. Yeah. Also, the people which have now the money through speculation, they are now, they are in the moment, they are buying wherever they can. They are buying all the raw products. They are buying the wood, even from Serbia. The prices, they are shooting up, I tell you, in the moment. And that is a sign that our economy soon will collapse. So for that is it even more important that we create our own economy based on the soil, on a healthy soil, which we heal more and more, which will give us food, which will give us work, on which we can build workshops, beginning with a mill, for example, as I said, and then a bakery, a coffee, a restaurant, a hostel, and many other workshops. And we can create many, many workplaces here, but not for the sake of creating workplaces, but for the sake of building a new world which are safer than the old world. And as I said, that is a side effect that we are creating also for ourselves, something which brings us joy, and also especially for our children. And when I talk about children, I like also to ask you, keep your children please away from the social media. We are destroying our little children with the social media. What they need, that is a connection to nature. What they need, that is us, the parents, the grandparents. They need history, they need to play with us, they need fairy tales from us so that they can bring up their own imagination. The imagination which comes through a creativity in the children that is completely different if you tell a fairy tale to the children and they have to create the pictures of the fairy tales themselves, or they see it just on the computer. As they hear just beep, 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 and you know what I'm talking about. That is really, sorry to say this, but that is really criminal what we are doing. That is criminal what they are doing in the schools with our children. We have to connect them with reality again, with the social reality, with the nature reality, and they have to play with each other and don't put them too early into intellect. That is enough if they are 12 years and then when they see the first time the computer, that is enough. But then when they take them later, let's say also with 15, if they take then a computer, they will be, in no time they will learn it. I tell you from my own son, I kept them away from my children, I kept them away from the computer. And my biggest son, he got with 15 his first computer, and it was 1.5 years. He was the best in computer in the whole school, and all the teachers, they came to him and asked him how to solve the problem. And why was it possible? Because he didn't look beforehand computer, and he learned to be creative. And if you are creative, if our children are creative, they can do everything after. They can do really everything when we have a creativity. Let us help to create an environment for the children where they can be creative. And I tell you, just 2 days ago, I was in Belgrade in a Waldorf kindergarten, and to see how they do it with the children, that was really heart-touching to experience that. And ask Soran if you want to, for the address, or look yourself up in Belgrade, Waldorf kindergarten, where they can experience really fairy tales, where they can experience nature and so on. That is such a difference. So we will also, one of the first things on this place here, that will be a kindergarten. And then if there are people around and children around later on, I'm sure you will also create a school here. And to save the children, to save our future. And you will see that will be also finally a place, if enough people of you help there, that will be a place where many people will come, will have a seminar, will stay for some nights. And that should be a place where hope can be spreaded from. And also, Zoran, he said already something to biodynamics. I just like to add, biodynamics is the mother of organic farming and also permaculture. And what is important in biodynamics, that is really to create organism. Because the different organs come together to an organism. What does it mean? We have on the farm, we have vegetables, we have grain, we have animals, we have ponds, we have ducks, we have chicken, we have everything on the farm, hedges, and so on. And every detail is an organ, and we put it together as an organism. And the farmer's task is actually to bring a balance into this organism. And that is something which we have to understand from within, not from outside. Unfortunately, that is in permaculture, too many people are thinking just that is something, a technique where we have to put different techniques together, like we build a car together. No. In biodynamics, that is an organism, a living organism, which we create together. and try always to find a balance, and I'm not talking about a cycle. I'm talking about a spiral, which is going up and is evolving every year. The circle doesn't exist in nature. There's always either an increasing or decreasing. So, and we are the people who can every day, every moment decide with our behavior, with our work, with our thoughts even, if we have a society which goes up or which is going down. And yeah, as I said, I would like to invite you to take place also in this growing movement. And even if you are for some years still attached to your place where you live now, because of your work or your family, but try to keep in contact or create yourself something in your area, and start every week, for example, a study group with your friends to talk about a new future. Because, as I said at the beginning, the thoughts of today that are the reality of tomorrow, and we have to create the reality, and especially if we ask the spiritual world, for me also the Christ, to ask them to help us, because otherwise the attacks against humanity, against the development of humanity, that is so big, we can only come out if we work with the spiritual world together, and if strong people like you come together to create a new world. So I would like to stop here for the moment, and maybe I would say also on Saturday at 10 o'clock we start here also a meeting all the Saturday where we come together, where you can see the farm, where we have where I give also a little lecture, and where we have workshops and discuss all this matter together. And yeah, please come, join us, and we can get to know each other. And that is so important, that we make contact, that we ask each other, what is your aim in life? What is my aim in life? To ask each other really, how can we help each other? And we shouldn't throw overboard our vocation. Everybody is a specialist. And we need also in the new world, we need specialists in gardening, in farming, in computers, in rights, in all the fields. We also need their specialists, but specialists which are doing it for a better world than just for making more money for oneself. So we can create a new world, or we can also just carry on with the old world, which definitely will be run down now. So I really invite you on Saturday, 10 o'clock here. Everybody brings something to eat with you. We will prepare a grill, a fire, so that we can also grill something. We also have a little bit more than you might bring. And let's have a good and joyful day then together, and a day where we create a new world together. So now that is your turn. I'm sure you will have some questions.
Thank you, Uwe. This was very interesting. I don't see any questions at the moment in the chat. Maybe you can start writing them now, but I have one question. I like what you said about using the creativity of children in planning and doing things. So I'm interested, did you have any experience in using, like, giving children engineering, to give them to become engineers, you know, like plan this space, what are the needs of the children in the space? So because
there is the whole movement, and I am also very interested in that topic, is using children to design things, to design life, to design space.
Yes. First of all, children, they just came some years ago from to Earth. We all came from the spiritual world. So the children, they are still much closer to the spiritual world than we. We are very much all, also if we think we are open already to the spiritual world, but we are very much materialistic, everybody of us, very much. And the children, they are still very, very open to the new world. And for example, to create or to pose the question to a group of children, how shall we create a village? Ask the children, and they will come up with the most amazing ideas. Yeah, they want to have all kinds of playgrounds. They don't want to have too many cars, I tell you, and they want to have more parents, and they have many ideas. And that is a joy to create with the children together is a new world. So if we do it, we adults, we are doing it generally with our intellect. But the children, they are really going into it, I tell you. We have done it a few times also. Isabel, my wife, and I, we go also every year with a group of children into the mountains, and we stop every night in a different farm in the mountains and with animals and everything. But I tell you, that is amazing to do that with children, how creative they are. And of course, we do it always, that is from the beginning clear, no handy, no electronic, so that they are really diving into real life, and that is such a joy. And they become so creative, and what they will learn then in school or with us or so, that helps them all to become later engineers of life. And we have to learn it a little bit, but especially for our children, we have to create a new ground that they all become engineers of a new life. And we need really desperately, especially the young generation then, who is creating a new world. So we need engineers of a new world.
Great. We have a question from Oliver. He asked, what is the short-term goal of the movement you spoke before?
The short-term movement goal is really to create an understanding for that need, what I'm just talking about. Yeah, because mostly we are really still in our thoughts in the old world, but we have to awake now people, and not just awakening people, but helping people to get up to create really a new movement. And I tell you, this little cells of future communities, if they come now about, and what we are planning is at the moment, that is to create cultural caravans, where people with music and other ideas, they are moving from to different towns and villages and new communities, and to spread really ideas and to exchange ideas with each other. That is now really needed, that people start studying a new world and what is possible. By the way, also in Switzerland and in Germany, we are just on the way of creating a new academy to train people to how one is starting new villages and new communities, because there are some people which have a lot of experience, and they know what is working and what is not working, and they can help this people which are interested, that they are not always stepping again and again into the same trap hole. Yeah. For example, this is just one example. the democracy, the Basisdemokratie doesn't work, where everybody has just the same say. That doesn't work at all, just as one idea. One has always to distinguish between the people who are taking up really responsibility and stay on, also if it is burning, and those who are just for the moment interested. One has really to make the difference between them. And why shall everybody decide on a new project, but they don't sign the contract with the bank, for example? The people who sign it and who stay on if it is burning, that are the people who made finally the decision, and not everybody. And everybody can have a say also, but the decision will be made by those who take really up responsibility. That is just one of the little examples which one has to take into consideration to make it possible that the community is also working. And so, as I said, we have to build up these communities, the caravans, cultural caravans, in order that very fast now that new lights are coming up everywhere to give mankind a hope. And especially in Europe here, we have a big task to do that. From Asia or America, we can't accept this, and Africa. So that is new, that is us who have to do something. So that is the first aim to your question, what we have to do now.
Thank you, Uwe. It seems we don't have any more questions, so we will finish this session and ask again people to join you on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I will just need maybe a pin from Zoran Petrov if he can give us the location of the farm. So if somebody would like to come and visit and meet you in person and meet other people from future community to join you, they would need, some directions.
Yeah, so Zoran here to go already. So, but you have the address of Zoran and telephone number. Maybe if you can put this in already.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody would like to get the location, you can write to us at Econaut, our social network contacts, or write us an email and ask for the location, and we will send it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Great. Yeah. Otherwise, I thank you all, and the members that is also wherever you are everywhere one has the possibility to start something new. And finally, we need communities in the cities, we need communities in the countryside, but they should be connected with each other. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to see you and maybe to hear from you, and yeah, to build up a new world together. Bye bye.
Thank you, Uwe. Bye. Laku noć. Prijetno, vidimo se.
Hvala svima na pažnji.
Hvala.